the approach that, say, smartphones have had, where smartphones were made to be easy to use. Industrial equipment has been built by engineers for engineers. What I've been trying to do for the last 20 or so years is make the advances in user interfaces available into industrial equipment, first home cleaning robots, but also just behind me, one of the pack bots, which at iRobot, we had 4,500 of those in Iraq and Afghanistan for diffusing roadside bombs, and they had to be used by 19-year-old soldiers who had very little training, so we had to make them easy to use. So when I talk about democratization, I'm talking about making equipment which in former times was very complex, had to have a very high-level team to operate, making it just like a smartphone, something an ordinary person can figure out in a few minutes.
I heard you said that Baxter is somewhat aware of people. It has common sense. What do you mean by that?
Well, the common sense is very simple common sense. A traditional industrial robot, if I'll get a prop out here, a traditional industrial robot, if it's programmed to move something from here to over here, it's just in its coordinates, and if it happens to drop what's in its hand, it continues to move unless that was specifically put into the program. Baxter knows things that it's doing a task, so if something drops, it doesn't continue to operate, it goes back to fix the problem, and that's built into its software stack and its understanding of the world. Very simple rules like that. So it's not the level of common sense that a person would have generally, but if you were training a worker to do a task, you wouldn't say, oh, and by the way, if you drop the object, you don't have to continue moving. You'd expect any human to have that level of common sense.
Okay.
And we're putting that simple stuff into our robot. Very simple stuff, very simple stuff, but it hasn't been there.
Mr. Nakanishi, your company also makes robots. Another robot is standing right there in front, the red robot. You just heard Professor Brooks talk about more human-friendly robots. Being in a big corporate executive, how do you see these friendly robots changing the manufacturing process?
Recently, you know that the various autonomous operations that requires more intelligent capabilities. That's sometimes you know that the traditional robot is a very huge, and the very special programming is scheduled already that Professor described. But the next stage of the manufacturing industry requires more flexible manufacturing capability to adjust of the various environment. It's a kind of the human beings. Is a part of the capability.